week 2 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few prospects I would watch this week. And these guys possibly could be up sooner than later, even though it's only week 2 of the season. The first prospect, Kobe Mayo of the Baltimore Orioles. Now with Jordan Westburg banged up upper body injury, we don't know if it's going to be day-to-day or possibly a stint on the injury list. So last season, Kobe Mayo, he had a good year in the minor leagues, a cup of coffee in the major leagues as well, in 41 at-bats. So last season, in the minors for Mayo, 25 home runs, 73 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, 65 runs scored, a 293 average, and a 372 on base. So he's done it all in the minor leagues is Kobe Mayo. Number 2 prospect in the Baltimore system. Number 13 overall in Major League Baseball is Kobe Mayo. And last season, like I said, 41 at-bats in the majors, and he struggled, no doubt about it, 22 strikeouts and a 098 average and a 196 on base. But now if Jordan Westburg is banged up enough, I think Mayo could come up. And regardless of that, I think Mayo, he's ready for the major leagues, where I know he's off to a slow start so far in the minor leagues, but it's only been 38 at-bats, homers, 7 RBIs this season, a 158 average, and a 267 on base. So like I said, he's a blue-chip prospect, is Mayo. He could play third and first, good versatility, or DH, obviously, if they need him to. But like I said, something to keep an eye on now with the injury to Jordan Westburg. If he has to go on the IL, there's a possibility Mayo could come up, and he's available in tons of fantasy leagues right now at 93%. The next prospect is Brandon Sproat of the New York Mets. He's available in 96% of fantasy leagues. And this Met rotation's one more big injury away, where I think Sproat's going to come up and make an impact for this Met team. He's their number 1 prospect overall in the Mets farm system, 40th overall in Major League Baseball. And last season, he was on 3 different levels of the minor leagues, and he had a good year, 23 games started, 116 in the third, 7-4 record, 131 strikeouts, a 3.40 ERA, and a 1.11 whip. So far, he's off to a bad start in AAA, and that's the only level he's got to go show he could go out there and get the job done. I know he had a good spring training, but spring training, obviously, it doesn't mean much. We've seen players have great spring trainings throughout their careers, and then, obviously, when the regular season starts, they struggle and can't get anything going. Sproat, like I said, he's got great stuff. Moved up the Mets minor league system in their prospect chart pretty quick over the last couple seasons. But now we just got to wait and see if he can master AAA, and then he'll be up. But like I said, this New York Met team, a lot of injuries already. Sean Manaea, Frankie Montes, mid-May to June, both those starting pitchers are going to be out. And also as well, guys like Tyler McGill, I know he's pitched very well to start the season. Griffin Cannon's been decent as well, but I believe one of those starters, or maybe both of them, are obviously going to run out of the gas a little bit and be guys that really can't get the job done in the rotation. So Sproat, someone to keep an eye on. And also this New York Met team, they're going to have a stretch soon coming up with 13 games in a row where they might go to a 6 starter. So Sproat possibly could step in to that role sooner than later. So with all those options possibly for Sproat, someone, like I said, out there in tons of leagues at 96%, and definitely a prospect to watch this week. The next prospect, Cade Horton of the Chicago Cubs. So Horton, I think is an opportunity he could step in to the rotation pretty soon, one way or the other. Justin Steele, he went on the injured list. He's out minimum 15 days, even though he thinks he only needs a stint, even though it's his elbow. So you just never know, anything could come up or happen with that injury. And Ben Brown, he hasn't pitched good. So Horton, the number 2 prospect in the system for the Chicago Cubs, number 49 prospect overall. And he's estimated to come up this season as well. Last year, I know he was injured the majority of the season in the minor leagues, was Horton, but from what we've seen from him, 9 games started, 34 and a third, 2-1 record, 4.46 ERA, 1.25 whip, and 40 strikeouts. He's a big strikeout pitcher, is Cade Horton, and so far this season, he's got 1 start under his belt, 3 and a third, he only went 6 strikeouts, no decision in that ball game, no runs given up, and then a 1.5 whip. So Horton, like I said, with Steele on the injury list, I think Colin Ree will get the opportunity first to step in the rotation, but also if it's an extended period and he struggles, and also if Ben Brown continues to struggle, Horton could be the next man up for the Chicago Cub team to be in the rotation. So with all those factors, and like I said, he's got major strikeout ability and upside. He's Cade Horton, just has to get more innings, I believe, under his belt. But like I said, every level he's been in the minor leagues with the Chicago Cub team, and he was estimated to come up this season as well, where I believe it's just one pitcher going down again. Or like I said, if this Steele injury now is extended more than the 15 days, we could see him in the major league sooner than later. Next prospect, Jacob Misiorowski of the Milwaukee Brewers. He's the number 4 prospect in the Brewers system. He's out there as well in 98% of fantasy leagues, and he's the number 97 prospect in all Major League Baseball. Big righty, throws hard, but definitely has control issues. But at 6'7", that could give him, obviously, a lot of leadway and an advantage as well. And with tons of injuries in this rotation, obviously, Woodruff, he still wasn't ready to start the season. Now we saw Hector Cortez. He went on the injured list. He possibly could be out for a very long time, or even the season if it's worst case scenario with his arm injury is Hector Cortez. Aaron Saval on the injured list. And they got Quinn Priester in a deal where it looks like he's going to start one of these upcoming days. So Murzarovsky last season, 97 and a third, 21 games started, 3-5 record, 3.33 ERA, 1.20 whip, and 127 strikeouts. Another big strikeout pitcher is Murzarovsky. And like I said, with 4 or 5 guys on the injured list for this Milwaukee Brewer team, and some of them coming back, maybe like a Tobias Myers. He'll be back sooner than later, coming off a rehab assignment. He's just starting. But Alexander and Patrick are in the rotation, and those are more openers, swingmen. So like I said, with all these injuries, and I know they got Quintana as well, where he could be up sooner than later, where he's working his way up to being ready for the major leagues after he signed late in spring training. But still, Murzarovsky has more upside than all those starting pitchers, in my opinion, I mentioned. And he's another pitcher who's estimated to come up sometime this season as well at 23 years old as Murzarovsky. So a little more seasoning in the minor leagues, and I think he'll be ready to go. And the final prospect I would watch this week is Kyle Teel of the Chicago White Sox, out there in 98% of fantasy leagues, number 2 prospect in the White Sox system, number 30 prospect overall in Major League Baseball. And he was the big chip in the Garrett Crochet deal in the offseason, where obviously they got 4 prospects was the Chicago White Sox from the Boston Red Sox. Had a catcher, Corey Lee's the starting catcher, with Matt Dassis is the backup catcher, where I don't think that's going to have a much impact on Kyle Teel coming up. Teel, last season, 13 home runs, 78 RBIs, 12 stolen bases, 88 runs scored, a 288 average, and a 386 on-base percentage. So like I said, Teel, one of the better prospects in Major League Baseball, and he's going to be up sooner than later. We know this White Sox team, it's another rebuilding year. They're not going to go anywhere this season. And Teel, I believe he'll be up mid-May to June unless Corey Lee or Matt Dassis show something. And obviously they stay in the starting lineup. But with a young team like Chicago, and Teel was the blue chip prospect that they got in the deal, leading that package of prospects from the Red Sox. I believe he'll be up in the major leagues in a month, 2 months, worst case scenario. So that's a few prospects I look to watch and possibly stash for week 2 of the fantasy baseball season.